What's up, guys? Anthony DiGiovanni with SacredU Philosophy, back with another video with our favorite Chris. Today we're tackling more into the how to have a meaningful relationship, and today we're talking more about the necessity of healing and self-healing in a relationship, and I would argue prior to a relationship is probably when it needs to mostly be done. But Chris, how important is it to at least be working towards you becoming a more healed and more complete you before you enter a relationship or while you're in a relationship? Is that important at all?
Well, it's everything.
Okay.
It's everything, and I'm gonna try not to go on a tangent today or a rant.
Okay.
But one of the things that actually really grinds my gears is when people consistently put blame or responsibility on other parties. Is there some logic behind that process sometimes? Sure, but I think in anything you must first point the finger at self. With anything. If you're an athlete, don't point at the refs. If you're in a relationship, don't point at spouse. If you're at your job, don't point at boss. The first thing you do is point at self. So I'm sure there's some validity to what you're saying when you point the finger, but you need to look at self first. So the importance of healing self before a relationship, I genuinely cannot say enough about that. In a past video, we talked about different seasons of life and why I think that for the most part, people shouldn't get married before 25. Now, that's not saying okay, I know you're watching this, you've had a successful marriage for 20 years and you were married before 25. It can't happen, but I think for the most part, people haven't finished their process, even by 25, working on themselves. Right. The more work you do on self first, the higher the chance that your relationship will be better. Yeah. Second.
Well, what do you tell people? I mean, people are so scared of that. You're ultimately telling people they have a responsibility to look at themselves and their input into the situation first. I feel like that probably scares a lot of people. I like that.
Well, they don't want to do it. It's just like with anything else. Yeah. Like, I can't be fit because I'm big boned. Or, right. I mean, it's like there's so many different reasons why you can't do something that you will place on yourself to take responsibility away. Because it's easier. It's just easier not to care. It's easier not to put forth the effort. But it's not better. Okay, it's just not better. And one of my favorite philosophies of life that I really wish people would adopt is you need to be selfishly selfless. Meaning it's okay for you to take care of self in order to take care of others later. Yeah. In terms of taking care of your career, going to school for, let's say you get a graduate degree, 7 to 12 years is a very selfish act.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's hard for you to maintain relationships. It's hard for you to bring money to your relationships, including the ones that already exist. And when I say relationships, I don't just mean partner. Yeah. You can't go out with friends as much because you're in debt. You can't. There's a lot of things you can't do because you're a student. Good. You're setting yourself up to have healthier relationships later, and you're going to see who's there for you throughout that test of sacrifice. Yep. You have to be selflessly selfish sometimes. And I said it wrong the first time, sorry. It's selflessly selfish.
I like that.
You have to be willing to put yourself first in ways that grow self, not putting yourself first in ways that are detrimental to other people. Yeah. The analogy I like to use is if I'm a basketball player and I have a broken leg and I go onto the court, how many points do you think I'm going to score that night? Right? You're not... Might as well just put you right back on the bench. If I'm entering into a relationship or stepping onto the court in this analogy, and I have a broken leg, there's something about my personality that's flawed, or my career that's out of place, or just there's something in my mood that's off. I have to manage that first before I can go onto the court. I have to.
And I think I would argue people who don't do that, eventually that catches up to them, and they're in a stance of resentment or anger, and they don't know why. And it's because they never took the time to be selflessly selfish.
That's a great one. Young couples out there, if your partner wants to go get a graduate degree, let them do it. If your partner wants to move to get that degree, let them do it. You cannot and will never be able to manipulate everything in your life. If you're meant to be with that person, then it will come full circle. You guys will work on it and they will move back. Yep. Don't, for the most part, there are exceptions to everything, so I don't like saying things definitively all the time. Don't move with them. Let them pursue their dreams as you pursue yours. Yeah. And if your paths meet later again, as I'm not saying you guys are breaking up, but if your paths stay together as you individually pursue your own stuff, you're going to be better for it later
Yep.
when you reunite.
Some of the best relationships I saw in college with teammates was that situation. Was him, on the football team with me,
Right.
and her at another college, at A&M or something, and they lasted for 5 years doing that somehow, and then now they're married.
Yeah.
And there was no imposing of the wills or manipulation.
They were able to take care of their own egos, their own needs, their own selfish goals, and selfish has such a negative connotation to it now,
Right.
and it doesn't deserve it. There are times when it's actually incredibly selfless to be selfish.
Yeah.
Because you can say in 10 years this is going to benefit whoever I'm with.
Yeah.
In 10 years this is going to benefit my kid because I'll have the money to put them through college. In 10 years this is going to... Being selfish is sometimes the best thing you can possibly do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To top it off, what would you say to the people, I hear this a lot, that would agree with you that there's a necessity to heal, before they enter a relationship or even while they're in it,
Okay.
but they're too afraid. These are their own words. I've heard this. Too afraid to go in there. They're too afraid to look inward, and I understand why. Like, it's sometimes, depending on what we've been through in life, it's pretty scary to look at the scars and try to open those back up. What would you say to encourage?
Encourage, I think, is better. I'm glad you said that because you can't convince.
Yeah.
I hate when I have a parent or somebody come in or a couple and they want me to convince the other person that this is important or that they should do a certain thing. You can't convince somebody long term. You can convince somebody to do things short term, but not long term because you have to change their foundation.
Yeah.
Encourage is better. I wouldn't really say, I don't think there's anything in particular you can say. In past videos, I've talked about environment. I would try to create an environment that is stable and ready to have that conversation when they're more able to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw some hints down to them, but I'm telling you, you're not going to convince somebody who's already decided that they're not going to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a confirmation bias in their head that they're not going to do this, and so you have to say, okay, knowing that when the storm comes, you'll be ready because you're going to set an environment in place. You're going to keep that door open for them. I don't think there's anything, one individual thing you should say so much as a combination of things that create an environment of preparation and readiness for when it's time for them to make that change. When they're planting seeds, that's what it is. It's no one thing that you're... And let's just say you do convince them. You say just the right thing in that moment to convince them. Chances are you actually didn't change them at all because they're going to go right back to what they were doing because you have to change foundation for things to change long term. And foundation is environment. Keeping the environment set. That's why consistency in terms of sleeping and working out and eating healthy, not when you feel like it or when you're sick, okay, now I'm going to eat some vegetables because I'm sick, all the time. So when that moment comes for you to do something that you know you need to do or a change that you know you need to make, your environment is ready to support that change.
And along those lines, I know you deal with this in your own practice, but I don't know where I heard this, but someone told me that you don't want to take people's victories from them because then it's not theirs and then it's not going to last. It's kind of along the lines, right, of what you're saying is you can't convince someone, and also you shouldn't want to because then you're taking their win.
And you're teaching them to be dependent on somebody else's information instead of their own information. And most people have the answers already.
Yep.
And they just need to have the confidence, which comes from many different things that are beyond the scope of this particular video, to do that. And that comes with time and the right environment. But yeah, you don't want to take the win away from them because it becomes just a requirement. You have to have that relationship to have the win. That's what you're teaching them. Yeah. And they don't. They don't. I want my clients to see that they don't need me.
Yeah.
That's the point, is for them to leave. And I tell my clients this, almost all of my clients, I've told this to them at some point, is, listen, my goal for you is to never see you again. And I say that in the nicest way possible, but that means I've done my job. Don't, shoot me an email, let me know you're doing all right. Or send me a postcard when you go on vacation. I'd love to see how your life is doing, but we don't want them to be dependent. We want them to have their own victories.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Yeah. There's some good advice for you guys on the necessity of healing in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Chris, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If you guys like it, hit the thumbs up below, comment below as well. Yep. If you guys have further questions for Chris or just want to comment about the video, let us know. We'd love to chat
to hear it.
And love to respond. Yeah. Share this video too with people that might need it, and then as always, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hop on over to Chris's channels below. Yeah, links below in the description. You can subscribe over there for more great information from him. Yeah. Again, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you guys for watching.